So in today's lab, what we're going to cover is the bone tool again, but this time we're not going to just use it on, let's just say, a stick figure using the brush tool. This time we're going to animate a hinged joint, and we're going to use movie clip symbols to do that. So I'll just go ahead. I'm just going to show you how to create a really basic just hinged joint animation, and I'm gonna just make it sort of like this robot arm. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a circle, and I'm gonna name this shoulder. Okay, and I'm gonna convert to symbol, and this time I'm gonna make it a movie clip, and I'm gonna change it to be shoulder. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a square. That's my arm, upper arm. Then I'm going to create another circle, all on a separate layer. And this time I'm going to do my lower arm. So the difference between the two styles of using the bone tool are significantly different. This way, when we're creating this, I'm going to bring this underneath, and this, okay. So while I'm creating this, I have just this sort of basic setup. I'm going to go ahead and convert all these to symbols. And I'm making sure they're movie clip symbols. Press OK. Keyboard shortcut F8. And F8. And they're all movie clip symbols. So it should have like a little icon of a gear cog kind of thing there. So all of these are movie clip symbols. Now what we're going to do using the bone tool, so I'm going to select my bone tool. I'm going to start here on the shoulder. I'm going to click, drag, and release on the next object, and you'll see it highlights. And then I'm going to go ahead and click, drag, and release on the next object. I'm going to click, drag, and release on the final object. And that's it. Now the other thing I want to do is, you'll notice this all created all of these on one layer, which is good. But when we create all the layers for the symbols, we want them to be separate. So this way, if we make any adjustments, it's not going to interfere with anything. So just went ahead and renamed that, and I don't need these layers anymore because there's nothing on them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select on here, and you're going to notice where the pivot point is each time. So for this one, it can be in the center, and using my pivot point, my free transform tool, I can adjust the pivot point, and this is how you go ahead and change the location of where something rotates as far as its joint position. So you'll see so far that both of these joints that are on here are both in such close proximity to another, they're basically overlapping one another. But you'll notice over here I have this joint, and I just pressed undo. So if that happens, just make sure, use the free transform tool and just put it back into place. So now I'm going to go through these and just reposition it. So this upper arm, the joint will be up here. This elbow, center, this one, center. Okay. And now when I click on here, it should just pretty much rotate around. So what I'm going to have you guys do is just create 3 seconds and do about 5 different poses every couple frames or something. This doesn't need to be perfect. Just the fact that you understand how it works is an extremely important lesson. So go ahead and just sort of mess around with it, see what you can come up with. And I'm animating this backwards because I'm not too kind of concerned about it. But as long as it's doing this, that's perfect. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. Alright, and I'll play it back. So there is my little animation with the bone tool. Now, the bone tool can be tricky, so make sure that you're just clicking, dragging it, and making sure you get it on the next symbol. And then after that, you can go ahead and change the position point no matter where it is. So that makes it a lot easier. And then the other thing, this sometimes glitches it out, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to select on here, modify, arrange, bring to front. And that should bring it up to the front. I'm going to do that here too. Modify, arrange, bring to front. And you'll notice now that those arms are above the shoulder joint socket and everything. So I'm going to play this back again. So that worked. Again, if you have parts that explode on here, what you're going to do is just use your free transform tool and just place it back into position for that frame, and it should fix it for every other one. So this is what I got. Turned out pretty cool. Really, really basic, simple animation of a hinged joint. So this is extremely useful, especially if you're going to do some kind of character animation. You can get a lot of freedom out of this tool that allows you to animate much more quickly than, let's just say, hand drawing frame by frame. So I hope you enjoyed this little lab. All I'm looking for is just this particular style of hinged joint. It doesn't need to be super fancy, it just needs to work correctly. So if you have any questions, go ahead and inbox me, and I hope you enjoyed this lab.